All right, everybody, buckle up because we are diving deep into leadership today.
Ooh, leadership.
Yeah. And you know something? It's something everyone listening uh deals with.
Every day.
Every single day, you got it. Whether it's, at work, maybe you're volunteering for something, or even just trying to wrangle your family into making a decision.
Right.
You, my friend, are leading the charge. So congrats.
Exactly.
But listen to this. We're going deep into 5 leadership tips. And this is from some fascinating research we've done for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. And these aren't just your typical, like rah, you can do it kind of tips. We're talking about
No.
actionable stuff.
Actionable insights, exactly, that you can use today, like right now,
I love that.
to be a better leader.
To up your game.
Up your game, exactly.
What I found interesting, going through these research articles and stuff was, they took these common sense ideas
Oh, yeah.
and they really do turn them into like powerful tools for you to actually go and lead better. Like it's about understanding the why behind all these things that on the surface seem kind of basic.
The why, exactly. And you know what? It totally makes sense.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, I've heard that before, but why is it important?
Right.
So let's jump into that with tip number 1, which is communicate clearly. I mean, that sounds kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
But we've all been there
Oh, tell me about.
when, the instructions are muddled, the messages are mixed, and all of a sudden, bam, the entire project just explodes.
Yeah.
Total chaos, but it's more than just frustration, isn't it?
It is. I mean, when you think about it, unclear communication, it has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It impacts everything.
Oh, yeah.
So suddenly there's no trust or the trust erodes and then people start making more mistakes because they're not sure what to do.
Exactly.
And then you're not just cleaning up like a small mess, you're dealing with this huge problem.
Yeah, and the fallout from that. And actually, one of our sources highlighted this study where just one unclear email
No.
led to a project delay that cost them thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
Just because
Yeah.
one email wasn't clear. And I think that just highlights how important it is. It's not just about efficiency. It's about creating this culture where people know what they need to do. They feel empowered.
Right, right.
And things just kind of work.
And then they can actually succeed, right? Like they're set up to do a good job. And that's on us as leaders
That's a really good point.
to make sure that happens.
Because if you think about it, if I had communicated clearly when I was trying to build that bookshelf with those instructions that looked like they were written in hieroglyphics,
Right.
I might have had a better experience.
You might have had a usable bookshelf.
That's true. That's true. This one might be out of commission for a little while. But, speaking of strategy, our next tip is delegate wisely. And I really think it's that wisely that makes all the difference, don't you think?
100%. It's not about just getting rid of tasks that you don't want to do
Right.
or that you don't have time to do. It's about being really intentional about the delegation process. And a lot of the stuff that I read talked about really matching the person's skills
Okay.
to the needs of the project. Almost like it's like a personalized development plan for them disguised as a to-do list.
I love that.
Like,
Okay, that's really, so instead of just saying, here, get this done, it's, here's a chance for you to really shine using the skill that you're incredible at
right.
to make this project even better. And that's how you build a team that thrives, right?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but like I've definitely been on both sides of that equation, right?
Yeah.
Where you've been the person who's been like just given a task.
Yeah.
And then other times where you're really trusted and you're given something that challenges you
Yeah.
and you're really set up to learn something new. And I think that feeling of being trusted, being challenged, and feeling supported,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the magic really happens, right?
That's where the growth happens. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this next tip might seem like a given, but it's where things get really, really interesting. And that is lead by example.
Okay, I like it.
I mean, we all love a good superhero movie.
Of course.
But even Superman knew that sometimes you got to be Clark Kent, right?
Right, got to be authentic.
You got to be authentic. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the articles I read actually used this really interesting analogy. They talked about a dance troupe
Okay.
and how, if the leader of the dance troupe isn't really in sync with the music, or if their steps don't match what they're trying to teach everybody else,
Right.
it doesn't matter how good of a dancer you are.
Yeah.
the whole performance is going to fall apart.
It's all going to fall apart. And it's the same for,
Yeah, so
for leading a team, for leading a company.
right.
You set the tone, your integrity, your authenticity,
Your authenticity.
and even sometimes your vulnerability.
Being vulnerable. Yeah.
That's what sets the rhythm for everyone else.
Yeah, I like that. I like the rhythm analogy there.
And you know what? That leads perfectly into our next tip: encourage feedback.
Okay.
And this one, I love how our sources emphasized this being a two-way street. So it's not just about receiving feedback really well,
Right.
because sometimes that can be tough, but actually going out and seeking it out. What do you think about that?
Well, because we all have blind spots, right? Like,
Yeah.
as good as we think we are, we all have areas where, like, we could use a little improvement.
Yeah.
And one of the things I read that I really liked was they described feedback as like a flashlight in a dark room. It illuminates the things that we may not see.
Ooh, I like that.
Even if it's a little tough to hear sometimes, it ultimately helps us grow.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing, right? We have to grow as leaders. We have to be open to feedback. But the other thing that it does is it creates a culture where everybody feels heard
Right.
and it makes them feel valued.
I love that. And I always love a good pro tip.
Okay.
Anything in the research about how to actually encourage that honest feedback?
Yes, actually. One of the CEOs that was interviewed
Right.
talked about changing the way that he asks for feedback.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, how would I do,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of broad.
Right. Very general.
Yeah, he starts asking his team, what could I have done differently in that situation?
Wow. That is good.
It shifts the focus from being a critique on him to an opportunity to actually learn something.
That is brilliant. I'm writing that one down.
That's a good one.
That is really good. And it makes you really think twice about how you're framing those questions when you are asking for feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so to round out our leadership lineup, our final tip is to continuously learn,
Okay, I like this one.
which it's a journey, right? It's
Yeah.
not a destination.
Yes.
Kind of like this podcast, actually.
That's right. We're learning as we go.
And so just like we're curating all this fascinating content for everyone listening,
Yes.
great leaders are out there doing the same thing with their own knowledge base.
I'm constantly reading, learning.
Right. And the world changes so fast, so staying curious and adaptable is absolutely vital.
It's essential.
Think about those CEOs that are always reading,
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they are not at the library just for the free Wi-Fi.
No, they're there to learn something.
Exactly. So here's the challenge for everyone listening today. What's one area where you want to level up as a leader? Pick one thing. Maybe it's communication, delegation, whatever speaks to you, and then find a book about it. Maybe there's a podcast, maybe it's a course. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, invest in yourself.
Because it's so important, and the real magic really happens when we take all this knowledge
Right.
and we put it into practice.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's it for today's deep dive. We're leaving you with this final thought. What kind of leader do you want to be? Not just in title, but in action.
That's a good one.
Keep those leadership wheels turning, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.
See,